The chilling winds of Siberia whisper a tale of an ancient journey, a migration that forever changed the course of human history. Picture this, it's 24,000 years ago, and the world is in the grip of the last ice age. Glaciers stretch across the land, and the Bering Land Bridge, a narrow strip of land now submerged beneath the Bering Strait, stands as the only path from Asia to the New World. This is where our story begins, a story of survival, adventure, and discovery. How did these early humans make their way to the Americas? And what drove them to undertake such a perilous journey? These are questions that have puzzled scientists for decades, and today, we embark on an epic journey to uncover the truth. Imagine the scene, a small group of people, perhaps no more than a few dozen, huddled together on the frozen shores of Siberia. They are the first of their kind to venture into the unknown, driven by a mix of curiosity, necessity, and the relentless push of survival. As they cross the Bering Land Bridge, they leave behind the familiar landscapes of their homeland, stepping into a world that is both strange and new. This is the story of the first Americans, a story that begins with a mystery and unfolds into an epic saga of human endurance and exploration. Fast forward 24,000 years, and we find ourselves in a world vastly different from the one these early migrants knew. The Ice Age has given way to a warmer climate, and the land bridge has disappeared beneath the waves. Yet, the legacy of those first migrants lives on, etched into the very fabric of the Americas. From the vast plains of North America to the dense rainforests of the South, the presence of these early people can be seen in the artifacts they left behind, the stories they told, and the genetic markers they passed down through generations. But how did they make their way across a frozen wasteland to a new continent? And what drove them to undertake such a journey? The answer lies in a combination of factors: climate, resources, and a deep-seated wanderlust. As the Ice Age took hold, the land bridge emerged as a vital corridor, connecting Asia and the Americas. For the early migrants, it was a chance to escape the harsh conditions of Siberia, to find new hunting grounds, and to explore a world that lay beyond the horizon. But the journey was not without its challenges. They faced freezing temperatures, treacherous landscapes, and the constant threat of predators. Yet, driven by a mix of necessity and curiosity, they pressed on, leaving behind a trail of footprints that would one day be discovered by archaeologists. As we delve deeper into the story of the first Americans, we find ourselves in the midst of a great adventure, a journey that spans thousands of years and covers vast distances. From the frozen tundras of Siberia to the fertile valleys of the New World, the early migrants faced a series of obstacles and triumphs, each one shaping the course of their journey. The first step of their journey begins with the emergence of the Bering Land Bridge, a narrow strip of land that connected Asia and the Americas. As the glacier retreated, the land bridge became a vital corridor, a path that led the early migrants from the cold, barren landscapes of Siberia to the warmer, more hospitable climes of the New World. The journey across the land bridge was not without its challenges. The early migrants faced freezing temperatures, treacherous landscapes, and the constant threat of predators. Yet, driven by a mix of necessity and curiosity, they pressed on, leaving behind a trail of footprints that would one day be discovered by archaeologists. As they crossed the land bridge, they encountered a world that was both strange and new. The landscapes were different, the wildlife unfamiliar, and the resources scarce. But the early migrants were resourceful, adapting to their new environment and finding ways to survive in this alien land. One of the key factors that drove the early migrants to cross the land bridge was the search for new resources. As the glacier retreated, the landscapes of Siberia became increasingly inhospitable, with dwindling food sources and harsh living conditions. The early migrants were drawn to the New World by the promise of new hunting grounds, new sources of food, and new opportunities for survival. But the journey was not without its risks. The land bridge was a treacherous path, with freezing temperatures, strong currents, and the constant threat of predators. Yet, driven by a mix of necessity and curiosity, the early migrants pressed on, leaving behind a trail of footprints that would one day be discovered by archaeologists. As we explore the theories and evidence surrounding the first Americans, we find ourselves in the midst of a great debate, a quest for answers that has captivated scientists and historians for decades. The early migrants left behind a trail of footprints, artifacts, and genetic markers that tell a story of survival, adaptation, and exploration. But the exact route they took, the timing of their journey, and the motivations behind their migration remain a subject of intense debate and speculation. Some experts believe that the early migrants followed a coastal route, traveling along the Pacific coast and then moving inland. Others argue that they crossed the land bridge and then moved southward, following the ice-free corridor that opened up as the glacier retreated. One of the key pieces of evidence that supports the coastal route theory is the discovery of ancient stone tools and other artifacts along the Pacific coast. These tools, which date back to around 14,000 years ago, suggest that the early migrants may have traveled along the coast, using boats or rafts to navigate the treacherous waters. But the exact route they took, and the timing of their journey, remains a subject of intense debate and speculation. Other experts point to the presence of ancient human remains and artifacts in the interior of the Americas, suggesting that the early migrants may have crossed the land bridge and then moved southward, following the ice-free corridor that opened up as the glacier retreated. The search for answers has led to a series of groundbreaking discoveries and insights, each one shedding new light on the story of the first Americans. From the ancient footprints discovered in White Sands National Park to the genetic markers that reveal the deep roots of Native American populations, the evidence suggests that the early migrants were a diverse and resilient group, capable of adapting to new environments and overcoming the challenges of their journey. But the story of the first Americans is not just a tale of survival and adaptation. It is also a story of exploration, discovery, and the relentless push of human curiosity. As the early migrants ventured into the unknown, they left behind a trail of footprints that would one day be discovered by archaeologists, revealing a story of human endurance and exploration that spans thousands of years. As we draw our journey to a close, we are left with a sense of wonder and awe at the story of the first Americans. Their journey across the Bering Land Bridge, their exploration of the New World, and their legacy that lives on in the cultures and traditions of Native American populations today. The story of the first Americans is a testament to the resilience and adaptability of the human spirit, a story that reminds us of the power of curiosity, exploration, and the relentless push of human endurance. So, as we leave the icy shores of Siberia and the vast landscapes of the New World behind, let us carry with us the lessons of the first Americans, a story of survival, adaptation, and the relentless push of human curiosity.